Sometimes we need to analyze our data on weekly basis. For instance, I have a list of order dates in one column and total sales in another column. To get the cumulative sales amount per week, first I have to determine the week number and then define the week range. For example, for the 2nd November to 7th November, the range will be 2nd November to 7th November in one column. And in the second column, I will show the corresponding week number. And finally, I will calculate the cumulative sales amount in the total sales column. This is the whole scenario of my challenge 11. So I will solve the problem using Excel 365 dynamic array formulas. The solution is a bit complex. So I will break down the formula step by step before combining them into one formula. First, I will find the week number of this date. So I will use week num function. The first argument is serial number, which will be my date, comma, and Saturday will be the first day of the week. I'll close the bracket, press enter. This is actually the week number of the year, but I have to return the week number of this month. So I will return the first day of this month. So I will use month function. Start date will be my date, comma, and in months argument I will write -1 because I want to go back. Actually, I want to go to October. If I press enter, this is the end of month of October. If I plus 1, so I will get the first day of this month, which is 1st November 2014. Now I will find the week number of this first day, and the Saturday will be my first day of the week. If I close the bracket, this is the week number of the first date. Now I will subtract this number from this number, so I'll get the week number of this month. I will copy this formula and write subtract sign and paste it here. If I press enter, this is the week number of this date. If I fill down the formula, I will get the week number of the other dates. As you can see, I have double click on this square box to fill down the formula, but I have to create a dynamic array. So I will use map function. The array will be my order date range, comma. I will use lambda function and parameter I will write a, comma, and I will replace this cell reference with a. I will also remove this cell reference and I will write a. If I close the bracket and close the bracket, press enter, I will delete this value. You can see the value will automatically spill over for the other cell. Now I will store this calculation to a variable. So I will use let function, will assign a name to this calculation. I'll write W. You can write any other name. To create the range, I have to return the first day and last day of each week. So I will also assign a name here. I will write S, which is start date, comma. Here I will use XLOOKUP function. The lookup value will be W. Lookup array will also W, and return array will be my date. If I close the bracket, comma, and write S to see the result, I'll close the bracket and press enter. Now you can see this is actually the start date of each week. Now I will return the end date. Again, I will assign a name, which is E, which means end date. So again, I will use XLOOKUP function. Lookup value will be W, lookup array will also be W, and return array will be my order date, comma, and I will skip this argument and also this argument, and in the search mode argument, I will use search last to first. If I close the bracket and write comma and write the name, which is E, to see the result, I'll close the bracket and press enter. Now you can see this is the end date. Now I will use the group by function, group by. So the first argument is row field. I have to stack two columns. The first column is date range and second column is week number. So I will use hstack function. So first date of the range is S. I will use ampersand to concatenate two value. Again, I will use ampersand to concatenate the end value, which is E, comma, and the second array will be W, which is my week number. I'll close the bracket, comma, and the values will be my total sales, comma, and function will be sum, comma. Field header, I will write 0, comma, and in the total depth, I will also write 0. Now I will close the bracket and close the bracket, press enter. You can see I have my expected result, but I have to transform this number into date. So I will use text function here, text, comma. In the format text, I will write date format. I'll close the bracket. Again, I will use text function here for the end date, comma, and the format text will be dd YY. I'll close the bracket and press enter. Now I have the date in the date range. I hope you like my solution and thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video. Bye bye.